evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be here today. It truly speaks a lot about our community's commitment to excellence in education and the transparency and openness and values of our candidates tonight. We would like to extend a special thank you to Lauren Mead, Dr. Hardis, Vitas Saldunas, and Julie Felder for their invaluable assistance in making tonight possible, including our student facilitators, Freya Chelu, Eliana Werku, Amy Zhao, Taya Menifee, and Lindia Zhang. And furthermore, our profound appreciation goes out to Mrs. Crossman for her compassionate guidance and mentorship, which was a catalyst to making this event possible, and for also broadening the horizons of our government classroom. Before we begin, we would just like to quickly explain how we'll be facilitating the event tonight. So each candidate will first be given 2 minutes to provide some background information about themselves, including their education, their professional experiences, and organizations they're involved with. From there, questions will be asked to all 4 candidates, one at a time, and each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond. And facilitators will be sure to rotate the order of questions so that the same candidate does not have to answer first each time. And if we have time in the end, the audience will also have the opportunity to submit questions via note cards, which will be passed around right now. And if an audience member has a question, feel free to write your question down on the note card, and we will take them at the end. So without further ado, let's turn it over to the panelists to introduce themselves. We will begin with Ms. Julie Brow, and we will just go down the table. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can everybody hear me? One here? No? No? How about now? Okay. Good evening. Many thanks to Rada, the Beachwood students, and our community for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Julie Brow. I am the mother of 2 boys, Antonio Jr., who's an 8th grader at Beachwood Middle School, and Michael, who's a 5th grader at Hilltop Elementary. I was fortunate enough that 10 years ago, University Hospitals placed me at Beachwood Schools. For 8 years, I not only served as the athletic trainer, but also the high school athletic scheduler and the district senior search advisor. I had amazing honor to treat and care for our Beachwood students and help our seniors explore different career opportunities. Back in 2019, I decided to move my family to Beachwood. I was already impressed and excited about the academics that Beachwood Schools offered, but also, just as important, it offered a small yet diverse community. I felt positive that my biracial children would thrive at Beachwood Schools, whose focus was already on diversity and inclusion. So why me? As someone who has been in and around education all levels for almost 30 years, but more specifically worked inside the Beachwood School District, it allows for a very unique perspective that rarely presents a board of election candidate. During my tenure with the Beachwood Schools, I built solid, long-lasting relationships with our students, our families, our staff, and administration. I want to encourage strong leadership that values and supports the educators put in place to teach our children. This starts and ends with communication, a strategic plan, transparency, and accountability. Our children's success is a direct reflection of our leaders. We have an amazing staff who are passionate about our kids and work hard to provide the best, well-rounded, excellent education. The focus of strategic plans should include empowerment, a stronger communication with our staff, and added focus on overall district safety. I plan to be transparent, forthright with all of our community members. In closing, I can assure you that if elected, I will continue to take amazing care of our kids, our staff, and our families. We will work as a team focused on goals, accountability, opportunity to reach the greatest levels of success as a close-knit community while celebrating our differences. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay, first I would like to thank Rada and all of you who took your time out of the evening to come and attend this event. I am Jen Burns. My grandparents moved to Campus Road and the rest is history. My mom, Michelle Reiner, graduated from BHS in 1972 and soon after raised my brothers and I right here. I graduated in 2002 and now my husband Robert and I are proud parents of 3 children who go to Beachwood Schools, Ryan, Madison, and Landon. We are choosing to stay in Beachwood for the education and for the diverse population that Beachwood has become. Professionally, My parents, Bob and Michelle Reiner, started a family business in 1988 called Josh and Paper. Technically, I started working there in about the 6th grade. But in the 20 years I was on payroll, I managed the procurement department. We procured products for 10 warehouses across the United States and handled an inventory of $350 million. I also handled our contract negotiations with suppliers. My parents sold the company recently, and for the first time in 20 years, I now have the time to dedicate to the school board, at a time where I think my experience will be extremely beneficial. Since becoming the vice president of the PTO in 2018, and then for the past 2 years being the president, it has allowed me to be highly involved with our schools and teachers and gives me a first-hand perspective of what goes on. I'm already present with your children on so many levels. By having this opportunity, it has allowed me to gain in-depth knowledge and to know what needs to be addressed as a future board member. All of my strong skills come from my mother. I have strong problem-solving skills. I'm an excellent listener. I hear people and address their concerns. My visionary approach helps with thinking ahead. I work well with others and take accountability for my actions. I care about the well-being and educational needs of all children, and together we can elevate Beachwood schools to the next level. I, Jen Ferns, respectfully ask for your vote on November 7th and would be honored to represent our community as a board member, as a school board member. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Rada, Mrs. Crossman, and all the students for organizing this event, allowing the community to get to learn more about the candidates. My name is Josephine Chan. I am the director for the Clinical Trials Unit at UH Simon Cancer Center. I've been in the healthcare industry for over 15 years because I find it rewarding to provide compassionate care to our patient while advancing the treatment of cancer. My passion towards my career can be translated towards my role as a school board member. I believe that every student should have we should address their emotional, educational, and social needs, and so that they can thrive and reach their full potential. Just like many families, my family and I moved to Beachwood over 10 years ago because of the excellent school. My daughter started at pre-K and is currently in Hilltop in 5th grade, while my son started in kindergarten and completed 8th grade within the district. Over the years, my engagement within the school has continued to increase. I started volunteering as a room parent. I'm the coach for both of my kids' DI team, and I am also, I was a member on the parent and teacher equity and engagement team. In January 2022, I was appointed on the school board to fill a vacancy. Over the last 20 months, we've accomplished a lot, and it has been very rewarding and also fulfilling. I hope to remain on the board so that I can continue to advocate for our students, and I'm committed to student achievement, intercultural awareness, the safety of our school, and also building connections with our students and the community. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Megan Walsh, President of the Beachwood Board of Education. I would like to extend my gratitude to Rada and all of the students involved and staff, Mrs. Crossman involved in putting on this forum. I am so proud of our students, who are not even voting age yet, for knowing how important it is to do something like this with this type of civic engagement. I have served on the Beachwood Board of Education for nearly 5 years. I was appointed to fill a vacancy in January 2019 and was elected in November of 2019. But I think it's important to rewind before that. My husband Brandon and I moved to Beachwood 10 years ago when our boys were 3 and newborn. We chose Beachwood because of the schools, as so many families in our district do. We were attracted by the diverse school community and have loved getting to know families from around the world. Beginning in pre-K at Fairmount through their time now, Nolan in 8th grade at Beachwood Middle School and Cooper in 5th grade at Hilltop, our boys have been able to thrive thanks to our outstanding staff and the welcoming, inclusive environment among their peers. When I applied for the vacancy, it was with my boys in mind, but perhaps not in the way that you would expect. I knew the experiences they had in Beachwood schools. I knew how well each of their teachers got to know them. I knew how they benefited from their teachers' individualized attention and intentional action. As a social worker, my focus was and is on ensuring that all of our 1,481 students receive what I know my boys receive. My priority as a board member is for all of our students to feel that they belong in Beachwood schools, that each of our students feel that they can show up as their authentic selves. Because when this happens, they are best able to learn and thrive. This evening, I hope Josephine Chan and I earn your vote as an endorsement of the direction of our amazing district. Thank you.
Hi. Starting off with the first question of the night, how has your education prepared you to guide the education of our children? And we're just going to go down the line, starting with Ms. Rowe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I started my education at the University of Wyoming. I have been an athletic trainer for almost 30 years and have worked with education and students for the same amount of time. I went from there and I did graduate school at Alabama A&M, which is at HBCU down in Huntsville, Alabama. And then I took a job up here at Cleveland State as an assistant athletic trainer working with wrestling. One thing that I can say is that part of my job, my everyday career, is to build relationships with student athletes, with students. So when I was at Beachwood, not only did I work with student athletes, but I also took on many roles where I was able to engage with not only the staff, but the student body as a whole. I really felt like I wanted to engage with the seniors and help them engage in their senior endeavors and their careers past this. My career has allowed me to really get to know students, athletes, and support them in anything, whether they're down, whether they're up, whether they're trying to figure out their path. I'm always asked those questions. So that's what I have for you.
Hello. So my education is I graduated from Beachwood High School in 2002. College just was not the path for me. I received my post-high school education by working in a senior role at a company with hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. If I'm elected to the board, I want to make sure that we support our students on all paths, whatever it is that they choose to do.
So for me, it's not the degree that I think could help shape, but it's the journey that I took in order to attain the degrees that I have. So the journey helped me develop my communication skill, my problem-solving skills, and also collaboration skills to work with others in order to achieve the common goal. Now, what I think is really important from my education experience is back to when I was in elementary school. I was one of 3 Chinese students in my elementary school. That was rough. I didn't feel like I was accepted. I didn't belong. I felt isolated. People didn't understand me. It was a hard time growing up. And it was hard for my parents because they also didn't fit in. They didn't speak the language. So I think that's what I can bring, the perspective of someone who didn't feel included. How do we help the district make sure that we build an inclusive environment for all of our students so they don't feel what I felt growing up? Thank you.
My educational background is I'm a public school kid. I attended Mentor Public Schools K-12 and learned a lot there about what I was looking for. Reflecting back on it, I learned a lot about what I was looking for my own kids in education. Mentor is an extremely homogeneous community, at least it was then. It's changing a little bit, but so I was looking for something different for my kids. I wanted them to attend school with kids that were not like them and learn about different cultures and religions and the way that people experience the world. So that was very formative for me. I went to Indiana University for college and got a degree in psychology and a minor in business. And then I came back to Cleveland for my master's degree at Case Western Reserve University. As I said in my introduction, I'm a social worker, and that informs everything that I do. I am very passionate about my career. I'm very passionate about people being able to be themselves, to feel that they belong, and that is what I bring every day to my work as a board member.
Thank you. Now starting with Ms. Burns and going down the table, what differentiates you from other candidates and or board members here today?
Thank you. I think that my work experience differentiates me from all the other candidates here. I worked in a Fortune 500 company. I spent countless hours managing people and helping them get through their day-to-day objectives and meet their goals weekly and monthly. I'm also the president of the PTO currently. I am in the schools on a regular basis. Some of the kids have even asked me if I'm a teacher, which I always have a little chuckle to that. I go to most every home football game and any other, activities that my children are in. They're in 3 different schools, so that brings me, gets me involved in many different ways. Thank you.
So for me, I think what makes me different is what I just referenced, my experience back when I was younger. I'm very cognizant about making sure that, new families, new students, they feel included, they understand what Halloween is. When I was young, I didn't get to dress up for Halloween. It was awful. I didn't go to prom because my parents didn't understand. So again, I think that makes me a little bit different because I can provide a perspective that some of you may not know. And then my work experience, I'm responsible for over 150 employees in my team. We're managing over 400 trials, and it's life or death for our patient. So I have to be a good leader. I have to be a servant leader. I have to listen to my team because I don't know everything. I have to be open to their perspective because at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that my patients are taken care of and that they have a good quality of life. So I think I can transfer that as a school board member because we may not all have the same perspective, and we need to listen to each other and learn from each other.
I would say what differentiates me is my experience as a board member. Currently, I am the longest serving member on our board of 5, with nearly 5 years on the board, the last almost 2 as board president. And so just having those relationships, working with our administration, being present at many events in the last 2 years under my leadership, we have each adopted a building, and so we show up at those buildings and are there to engage with parents, attending the affinity group events, things like that. I've also been really committed to professional development as a school board member, attending Ohio School Board Association conferences, trainings, webinars, to learn how to be the best board member I can be.
Great. So, go. Okay, I'll just speak very loudly. So I think that I already touched on what brings me unique experience to the board is that I actually worked within the district for 8 years. I worked hand in hand with the administrators, the staff, the teachers, and the students. It gave me an insight that most people don't understand. Like I was able to work with the treasurer, I worked with the superintendent, and all the administrators in all the buildings. That is the biggest thing that I bring, is a true understanding of what our staff needs, what our teacher needs, what our principals and our administration need as support. The other thing that kind of stands me out is just my leadership ability. I have long in my career been told that I am a good leader, that I understand the problems that are presented to me, and that I take a moment to listen before I speak. I listen to every unique. I think that sometimes people are really one side or the other, but I really, really want to hear what everybody has to say and find a mutual ground.
Thank you. Starting with Dr. Chan, if you have chosen alternative educational paths for your children, such as private schooling, how do you justify these choices while serving on a public school board? And do you think this is a reflection of your confidence in the abilities of public schools? And a reminder, you don't have to use all your time. Thank you.
Sure. So let's first address that my son does go to private school. So he started in kindergarten, like I said, and finished middle school in Beachwood. And he received a 4-year full scholarship, full tuition merit scholarship at university school. And first I want to also thank the school. They developed him, they nurtured him, and allowed him to beat out over hundreds of applicants. So I really do thank the school for that. But ultimately, it was his decision. It was Ethan's decision. And as a parent, always support your child. So that is why he goes to private school. And but at the same time, my daughter, I believe in our school. I do believe in the public school system. I grew up in the public school system. So Janera is in the public school. And we love being a Bison. Ethan still remember everything and is so thankful for everything he got while being at the Beachwood school. So I think it's a family decision and it has nothing to do with whether I have confidence in our district or not.
I think I'll echo a lot of what Josephine shared. I feel that her boardsmanship has not changed in the last 2 or 3 months that her son's been in private school. As I said earlier, both of my kids are in our public school system. I don't foresee that would change, but if they had, never say never. I believe in our schools. I believe in what we do. But I also respect every family's decision. Many families in our community choose private schools for their families, and our job as board members is to represent the community voice, and that is exactly what Josephine, all of us are able to do.
So, I have kind of an opinion on this as well. I feel that, if you're going to be on the board, that your children should be in the school district. I totally understand the parents' decision to send their children either for religious reasons to a religious private school or to a private school outside of the district. However, I feel like if you're going to make decisions for my children, then you should feel like that's a school that you want your children to go to. So, in my opinion, I think if you're going to be on the board, that your children should be in the district. I think it's very important. It means you're invested in the district. Your kids are invested in the district. And listen, if my kids decide that they want to go somewhere else, then I will be happy to support them with that. But I also feel like that I would then step down.
I don't think they're working.
There. Just go ahead. Okay.
Thank you. So, in my opinion, I also agree. I think a candidate should send all of their kids to Beachwood schools. And what I'm saying is nothing new. It has been an issue in the last couple of school board races. Current members of school board campaigned on this very key point. I don't judge anyone that sends their kids to private schools. That is their own family's decision. But I believe every school board member must only be invested in the Beachwood City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you for your answers. Starting with Ms. Walsh, how can the school district and the city better collaborate on services, planning, and finances to improve educational outcomes and contain costs?
Thank you. Thank you. The city and the schools, our entire community benefits from a very strong partnership between the city and the schools. From our shared services agreement, in which we exchange the police forces that we have in our buildings to keep our kids safe every day with facility usage. So we allow the city to have 18,000 hours of facility time in our buildings. And so that is a very strong partnership. We also collaborated with the city very closely on a tax partnership this May, which will reduce the tax bill for residents and business owners in the city of Beachwood. We have a very strong working relationship. We continue to seek ways that we can beef up that shared services agreement and continue to collaborate. The city's been very open to having meetings through our elementary facility planning process. The superintendent and I met with the mayor and council president Isaacson multiple times to work through that process together as well. I feel like the partnership is very strong and it will continue in that manner. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I would say that in the last year or so that the city and the schools have started to increase their partnership. When I first started working at Beachwood City Schools about 10 years ago now, there was a big divide between the city and the schools, especially when it came to the athletic fields. That's where I have the most knowledge, and until I'm on the board and have more experience there, I can't speak to a lot. But what I can speak to is the fact that there was not a lot of collaboration between the city and the schools when it came to our fields. My concern going into the new plans with the schools was kind of along the same lines. There was a lot of things that were being said that the city was going to collaborate and help and support the schools if they opened up a piece of land. But my understanding in history so far has shown me that that wasn't really the case. I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm excited to see the collaboration. But right now I think that there could be more, and hopefully there is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So from what I do know, there is a dedicated council representative. It's called Intergovernmental Relations, and that's a dedicated council person. They're supposed to be working with the school board on city and school collaborations. I know that, we share resources. We have school resource officers in all of our schools, which is amazing. And we have a dedicated person, helping to develop the program there. But again, as Julie just mentioned, the athletic fields, since I've been here my whole life, people have been complaining about how crappy our fields are since the beginning of time. Even though these fields are on school property, they are used by the whole community. And we need help from city leadership and from the school to improve these fields. This could be something new that the city and schools could collaborate on. Thank you.
So I echo what Megan said in terms of our collaboration with the city. I think as a district we're very thankful for the collaborations that we do have with the city. I think we can continue to expand the shared service agreements that we have with the city so that we achieve common goals and share expenses. It was wonderful in the summer when the city and our African American family affinity group together had the Juneteenth celebration. It was a great celebration. So I'm hoping that we can have more of those celebrations with the affinity group so that the students feel that they belong not just in the school but also within the community. Other ways that I think the city can collaborate with the school is engage in local businesses. Have them come in, talk about the professions, and talk to the kids about their career paths, a different career path, or maybe even internship. So I think there's a lot of great collaboration going on.
Thank you. And our next question, starting with Ms. Brown. Where do Beachwood schools need immediate investment?
immediate investment? That's what she's asking. So I think that we've already kind of tackled that. The immediate investment is definitely within our lower schools, Hilltop and Brighton. I was kind of a part of that planning. I was going to the meetings. I think that we definitely need to, make sure that we're investing properly there. But also we need to make sure that we're investing in our staff and our teachers and make sure that they feel supported. And then lastly, investing in our security. We are not alone. We are not a bubble. We are facing the security issues that everybody is facing. So I think that that is another thing that we need to look into. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, as we all know, we passed a $65 million bond to basically knock down and rebuild our 2 elementary schools and then provide some updates to Fairmount, some needed updates. So what I didn't mention in my opening speech is that for the past 3 years, I started my own business and I do interior design. So I know the means to working within a budget, and I know how to stretch the dollar and make it go very far for my clients. Another need that we need to address is the safety in all of our schools. I believe that we need to have a couple new safety features. I've heard stories that kids are vaping in the bathroom in Hilltop. So if there's anything that we can do about that, that would be great. And then lastly, as Julie mentioned, we need to make sure that these upgrades are also helping to support our teachers and what they are able to be teaching in the classrooms. Thank you.
So I'm afraid we're going to have the same theme here. So thankfully, our community supports our school and did pass the bond levy, and we are able to immediately invest in new elementary facilities. And with that, we would be able to improve our security, because right now, if you look at our building, it's not very safe because of the fact, the way the architect, not because of anything else. I mean, it's just hard. The bathrooms that you're talking about, they've had discussion where you can hand washing station outside. There's so many new facilities that we can put in with the school, in these new schools that will address some of these concerns that's been brought up. We'll be able to design the classroom state of the art and expand our programming. It's limitless what we can do. And then in terms of the grounds, we are looking forward to our community input session so that we can seek inputs from our community, what we want to do to the grounds, the playgrounds, the fields. So I think the immediate investment is the new facilities, new elementary facilities that we will do.
I think we're very fortunate in Beachwood to have a very solid tax base and a very successful treasurer currently, but also Michelle Mills, who retired over the summer after a 35-year career here. So as far as immediate investment, I can confidently say that we're meeting the needs of our districts in a very prudent manner, and that we are responsive to security needs and the needs of our staff and our teachers through a very transparent budgeting process and very transparent communication. So I think the areas mentioned in terms of the new buildings and security and some supporting staff, those are all fantastic, and I agree. But I also just want to say that our district does a phenomenal job of meeting the needs of all of our students and staff.
Thank you. And starting with Ms. Burns, our next question is, vouchers are now available from the state of Ohio for example, Beachwood students to partially cover their enrollment in private schools with the money allocated in the per pupil expenditure of Beachwood Public Schools. So what is your plan if the state transfers the responsibility of covering the cost of these schools' vouchers to the Beachwood Schools District? Thank you.
Thank you. So the state just radically expanded the voucher program. The funding burden is currently on the state and not on the schools. If that funding burden shifts to the schools, this will cause all of the impacted, since we have a large percentage of our students attending private schools, this will cause all of the impacted school districts to probably have to raise taxes. Thank you.
So as Megan said, we're very thankful for Michelle Mills for her fiscal stewardship along with the administration staff to continue to be financially responsible and really stretching our dollars and making sure that our needs are met. So we're going to continue to make sure we are being responsible, but at the same time, I'm not naive, right? Our revenue is flat. Maybe it'll go down because of the vouchers in the future, and our expenses continue to go up because of inflation. So at some point, we are going to have to ask for a levy, and thankfully, our community is very supportive of our school because most of us move here for the school. So we will do the right thing, and we will support our schools, but it's naive to think we're not going to have to ask for help.
I agree with Josephine. I'll also add that I think that the voucher policy is just one of the many attacks at the State House on public education, and we are very active as a board to be informed of what's going on at the state level and what the impact will be here in Beachwood, whether it's anti-diversity, equity and inclusion bills or anti-LGBTQIA plus bills. We have a board legislative liaison. We also receive frequent updates from the Ohio School Board Association to be monitoring what the impact of state legislation is on our district. And so the voucher program is just one of the many things that is harmful to all public districts. Again, we're fortunate here in Beachwood because we won't be as impacted as many other districts will be, because their funding base is not as solid as ours. But that is something that we pay attention to and are actively working on advocating at the state level.
Thank you. I want to touch a little bit on what everybody kind of spoke about. You know, I had a long time to work with Michelle Mills, and you know, her being very fiscal responsible was so beneficial to our district. I think that, you know, in her stead, we've replaced it with another treasurer that is also very on his P's and Q's. And I think being a treasurer in the district, in any district, is a very hard task, right? Like, you have to really understand what's going on at the state level, what's going on with your schools, what's going on with the taxes, and now kind of what's going on with these vouchers. I admittedly don't know a ton about vouchers, right? Like, we don't have a ton of that in Beachwood. I do know that the schools that are doing not as well in the state rankings tend to have more people move in for those vouchers. So I would say that as long as we're keeping up with our school district and we are paying attention to what we're doing, the voucher should not affect us quite as much as we think it would. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be, what are your plans to improve the variety, health and freshness, and affordability of school lunches, particularly for elementary students? Dr. Chan, we'll start with you.
That's a good question. So I'm going to start by saying, as a school board member, our role does not manage the day-to-day activity of our schools. So I'm going to have to rely on our district leaders, rely on Miss Lucy, to ensure that we are providing healthy lunches to our students. And we would hear a presentation, we would ask questions, and help the district make the right choices.
One of the benefits of our new elementary buildings will be that they'll both have kitchens where lunches can be prepared for those students on options there. As far as throughout the district, I wish I had kids that would eat a school lunch. It's no commentary on the school lunch, I promise. I just have really picky eater children. My husband would love not to pack their lunches every day. But I do think that it could certainly be an option to hear from students about what kind of options they would like to have, and work with Mrs. Lucy Duquesne on sourcing those options and opening that up. As Josephine said, it's not in the purview of a board member per se, but we would certainly be in support of hearing from students what they want and figuring out ways to provide it.
Yeah, so I'm going to echo a little bit of what Megan just said. You know, my kids would rather have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single day. I don't really understand it. I do know that my older son is in middle school, and he brags about the fact that he gets certain things at the middle school level that Michael does not get at Hilltop. Michael is inherently a picky eater. He has been eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single day since he was in preschool. So I don't have a lot of insight on what would, entail in regards to the lunch. I think that both my boys, when they do have school lunch, they enjoy it. I think that it's something that would, like they said, it would be brought to our attention, we would review it, but ultimately that's the decision of the district.
Thank you. I guess I'm gonna kind of say what everybody said. So as a parent, we were sent a survey last year by Lucy to fill out to ask the parents what the kids would like for their school lunches. Unfortunately, I never heard a response back to that, so I don't know where that went, if it went anywhere, but I would love to follow back up with that. So taking that a step further, I would definitely provide the students with a survey so they can tell us exactly what they like. I've been a lunch helper at Bryden and Hilltop for the past couple of years, and I know the amount of food that is thrown away, that they do not eat, they don't like it, whatever the reason is. And I know when they come off the bus, they are starving. So there has to be a better way to accommodate what the students like. And yes, Brian brags about what they get at the middle school versus what they get at the elementary school. Thank you.
Starting with Ms. Walsh, how do you think the Beachwood City Schools should address anti-Semitism, especially in light of the situation during the recent Brooklyn football game?
Thank you for the question. I think that it is really important to address any anti-Semitism, whether related to the Brooklyn incident or what's going on around the world right now. It's so important that it's addressed right away. I think we do a great job of helping our students to understand, if you see something, say something, and all of that. But I think what Brooklyn taught us is that we need to be able to operationalize that for our kids and help them to say, like, this is what you say, this is what you do. So when you're hearing it, go to your coach or go to a referee or go, talk to somebody and really say something. And so our response to that incident was to work very closely with the Brooklyn administration, and I think that was very effective. We also reached out to the CDC, and we'll be, again, kind of enriching that training for all student athletes in the CDC. And I think what really is important too is that we show up for our students, that we're there for them. These are difficult experiences to have as children, and doing, playing a sport that you love. And so being able to be there for our kids and focus on them, listen to what they need and the support that they need to get through these types of incidents that unfortunately are occurring, year after year with our teams.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to echo a little bit of what she just said. I've been involved with athletics here at Beachwood for the last 8 years, and that, what happened the other day at the football game is not new to Beachwood. I've seen it in all the sports. I've seen how the kids react, I see how the parents react, and I see how the administration reacts. And what I love most is that the administration really knows how to tackle those issues. They don't let it go by the wayside. They address the administration at the other schools. They make sure that they talk to the coaches, that they talk to the kids. I've seen that whether it's anti-Semitism or whether it's racism, whether it's using any kind of language. It's been across the board for the whole time, and I think really getting the kids to understand that they are supported here, why that is not okay, and that they can speak up and say something if they feel uncomfortable. So.
Thank you. So again, at the Brooklyn football game, at the home game here at Beachwood, there was also another incident that I don't know, people aren't really talking about. There was a student from the other side that came over to our side and was threatening some of our youth football players. So that is, again, when you would go to our resource officer and have them look into the matter. I know that the parking lots were surrounded by police officers in just a few minutes. I think that the school handled the situation appropriately. I know a lot of work was done behind the scenes and parents were informed as information was available. I don't think we could have handled the situation any differently. I thought that it was handled appropriately. And this is why we have resource officers at every event that we have, and to make sure that we utilize them if we have to. Thank you.
So just like everybody else said, I think our district, our leaders all took matters did a great job managing the situation. We also send a message to our students and family and the community that we have zero tolerance for this kind of bad behavior. I was really proud that our superintendent, the district leader stepped in and took care of everything right away, continued to communicate to the parents, and then they continue to take it one step further. How are they going to work with the school, the other school, so that they understand what they did, what happened isn't appropriate, and how they can continue to spread the word to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because this shouldn't happen. And so I don't really have too much to add, because I think everybody did a good job saying that the district did do a good job and continue to move it forward.
Thank you. So, moving on to our next question. According to the Beachwood School Board policies, the board authorizes the administration to engage in prior review and restraint of school-sponsored publications and productions to prevent the publication or performance of unprotected speech. Would you be open to removing the policy of prior review, specifically in student newspapers, given club advisors already review student content? Ms. Brown, we'll start with you.
That is a really great question. Thank you. I think it's a little interesting when it comes to free speech. I think we're in a world right now where there's a lot of back and forth about what that actually means. I don't think that we need to necessarily have a policy in place. I think that if there's a review, that there's somebody watching over that, and that we're making sure that we're being respectful to all parties. That is the most important thing. Free speech is really important, right? And but we also want to look at, does that give us the right to, attack, right? Or defame somebody? What are we using that free speech for? Are we using it to help? Are we using it to inform? I think that would be a question that we would have to review as a board, come to some discussion about that, review it, and then make a vote.
Thank you. So I happen to agree with what Julie said. As we know, this First Amendment, free speech is a hot topic right now. I would just want to make sure that whatever's being published in newspapers or things like that is age appropriate. So I'm not quite sure that I would take away the board policy to review the speech before it goes out. Thank you.
So free speech is a big responsibility. I feel like I'm comfortable with the current policy. However, as I said before, I'm always open to listen to all sides. So I welcome students, teachers, whoever would like to have a discussion for us to review the policy. Let us understand your point of view. Why do you think it's not necessary to have this review? And then we can think about it, analyze it, and then we can come up with a determination as a district whether we need to change the policy or not.
What I would add to what Josephine talked about is that, as a board member, the first, at least for me personally, my first line of communication is with our attorney, right? So policy exists for a reason, so I would, defer to him in terms of what is the precedent for that policy, why does it exist, what is it safeguarding against, do other districts use it universally, those types of questions, to kind of dig into that a little bit. But I agree with Josephine in terms of opening the dialogue with students and with staff to explore whether it's serving them or not, and what would work best.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our next question. Some students have demonstrated concern regarding a lack of resources early on in high school about the college admissions process and how to strategically maximize their potential. How would you address this issue? And we'll start with Ms. Marks.
Thank you. So to me, the college admission process is tedious, and very demanding and tough on students to go through, along with all the other things that they have to do in the same amount of time. I would hope that all the students are able to be open and honest with their counselor that is provided by the high school to them. Schedule meetings with them as often as you can, and hopefully they take the time to get to know the students and are able to help you through that process. Thank you.
So I want to first thank the student who submitted this question for bringing this up. So if your needs is not being met, then we need to have that discussion. So I encourage the student or any student to bring this concern to the high school principal, maybe even to the counselor. What is deficient? What does having more resources mean? Let's have the dialogue again and let us understand what your needs are, and so that we can provide you with the need so that you can be successful with your college application. So thank you.
I completely agree with that. I think we're fortunate in Beachwood to be a small district where our bedrock is relationships, right? And so I hope that our students feel comfortable going to a teacher or their guidance counselor or the principal to say, hey, I could use some help in this particular area, or if it's easier for a group of them to come together and do it together, even better. So hopefully those avenues exist. I know that they do in each of our buildings for our student voice to be heard from our administration, from the administrator in the building, from the teachers in the building, to help plug in where those needs are not being met.
Thank you. I think there is a big ask when it comes to college admission process, right? And we have 3 guidance counselors that work, within the district. They are in charge of a lot. There's a lot that goes on. The fact is that we may need more resources, right? We may need more resources to help support the students, to help the guidance counselors, to help with whatever the problem might be. If the students feel like that they are not quite getting supported, it might just be because the counselors don't have it within their bandwidth, right? So how can we support the guidance counselors? How can we support that office? How can we support our students? And maybe just adding a little bit more resource, a little bit more support is just what we need.
Thank you. And the next question is, how do we connect students with professional opportunities outside of schools, such as programs, internships, and scholarships to ensure career preparedness?
That's a great question because I have a passion for mentoring. So if any students want to be in the medical field, especially clinical research, please reach out to me. I will take you under my wing. No, truly, I love it. So I know Beachwood has quite a few programs. We do have the Excel Tech program for the culinary students. We do have the pre-med program where in the summer we partner with University Hospital where they get to do a lot of cool things, including, I believe they were doing autopsy or different things like that. And also, I was actually just talking to Ms. Legago today, and she was telling me that she has built this relationship with University Hospital. I know, I keep bringing it back to my own work. But so I think the school is doing a lot to try to explore different opportunities. And again, like I said earlier, our partnership with the city. We should partner with the city and encourage mentoring program. And most importantly, when I was younger, I didn't know all the different career paths. So what I think would be great is to bring the professionals in and talk about where they started and how they got to where they are. I think students can learn a lot about from there.
I agree there's a lot of opportunities to enhance what we're already doing. I think, it makes me think about what we do at Pride and with Featured Fridays, right? And if families come in to share about their culture or share something about their family traditions, certainly could do the same thing with careers, have parents come in and talk about what they do for work to help children see themselves as that career. And I know an email just went out, it was either today or yesterday, for 8th grade students, for parents to sign up to share about their career. There's some career days that will be happening in the spring. So that's a good opportunity at middle school level to have our students thinking about what they might like to do when they are older. And I think Josephine is right on with enhancing our city partnership around different internship opportunities and just enhancing what we're doing, particularly through Excel Tech. It's a wonderful marketing program. The kids get connected to so many amazing professionals in our community, but obviously anything we can do to enhance that. I'm a firm believer myself in, kids see it, they know they can be it, and so showing them that, showing diversity in different roles, showing, what is available to them is really important.
Thank you. So as I mentioned when I kind of gave my opening, is that I actually worked with our seniors in Senior Search. And that experience was so amazing to really talk to the students, talk about what their passions were, talk about what they were looking for, outside of school. What does that mean? Where do you want to go? What life skills can you pick up? What can we teach you here that will translate out into the real world, right? It's not all about, the academics. Of course we want them to strive, but we also want them to know that when they get out there, they know how to handle themselves, right? That they know what they want to do. Maybe it's not college, maybe it's a trade school. That's where Excel Tech really comes in to play. We want to support them no matter what it is, and I really feel like between the academics and, the different classes and opportunities we can give them here in Beachwood, we can give them that. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, I'm probably going to echo what everybody else here said. That email went out to 7th and 8th graders yesterday. They are going to do a career days, and they asked for parent volunteers to sign up and come and talk to the students about their careers and how they can get into it and maybe a good choice of a college if that's something that they want to do. But I think we need to get more parents involved, and we should probably host a career night not only for seniors, but maybe, middle school and high school. And by partnering with the city, we have so many different businesses in Beachwood that maybe we can reach out to them to see if they would be open to hosting some type of career night as well. Thank you.
Starting with Ms. Walsh, a question from a community member. How do you advocate for families with different needs or perspectives from your own?
I think that this is a fundamental task of a school district. We have to understand the needs of all of the families in our district, and because we are such a diverse district, that presents a welcome challenge for us. It's so important that we connect and really hear from parents, and I think that we've done a really good job of doing that, particularly through the formation of our affinity groups. The Neurodiversity Family Network was the first one that formed, and I think that just the ability for the members of that network to connect with our administration and host workshops, bring in speakers, network with each other so that they have support from one another has been invaluable. We've really heard a lot of positive feedback about that. But even all of our other affinity groups, connecting with them, bringing them literally a seat at the table to hear from them and to hear what concerns they have, to hear what their needs are. It's about listening and really investing in meeting those needs, and I think we are on the right track in that regard.
Yeah, so I would kind of echo a little bit of that. I think that our district as a whole really does a good job at advocating for those with different needs. One of the reasons that people flock to Beachwood is because that we are diverse. We do look at the needs. We do try to meet those needs. That was one of the things that even brought me here. But over the years, that's something that I saw while working in the district. I think in order to really understand if there's an issue, to advocate for parents is to understand what the issue is, right? So that has to be brought through, it has to be discussed, and then a plan has to be formed. Ultimately, I think that so far that we're doing really well. I think that their board is doing well, I think our administration is doing well, and we need to just keep supporting what's already happening.
Thank you. I'm probably going to say what they've said as well. Beachwood is so diverse. We are doing so many amazing things by creating these diversity groups. I heard that maybe an Israeli diversity group is going to be forming here soon. That's really exciting. We just need to get more people involved in the diversity groups. We see these events come out, and sometimes people don't know if they are welcome to come to these events. So I think that we just need to start encouraging people to attend all of the diversity events so that they can learn about a different culture. I think that the district is doing a great job with what we're doing today. Thank you.
So similar to the candidates here, I think this district is doing a great job. We formed 5 new affinity groups last year, and we had multiple celebrations, and they were very well attended. Everybody, the community really supported all celebration. I think now that it's post-pandemic, one of the things that we can do is to have more interaction with others. When you interact with others, you learn from each other. So we've had, like Megan said, Feature Friday. The kids can go home, talk about what they learned. Today, Ms. Trudell organized a picnic lunch for the 3rd graders. It was so nice for me to watch the parents talking to other parents and kids there was so much conversation going on. So they're, again, learning from each other. So I think we just, in the district, we have done a great job, but we can do more. We can create more events for all the families to get together and learn from each other, talk to each other.
So at this point, if you have any questions written down, our facilitators will be collecting them. And in the meanwhile, we'll move on to our next question. So positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS, is a model all of the schools in the district currently utilize. What are some examples of PBIS programs that you believe will benefit students? So yes, positive behavior intervention and support is a model that all of our schools in the district are currently using. And what are some specific examples of PBIS programs that you think will benefit our students?
Great, thank you. So this is not something like, I'm not going to sit up here and profess that I know everything about everything, right? But one thing that I know is that when my son was in preschool, there was this kind of idea, right? This positive enforcement, and I know that the way that he took on to that and reacted and then has moved through the different grades and how he handles issues is a direct result from that. So I'm really supportive of it. I would be interested in seeing how we can incorporate it more. I would say that between my younger son and my older son, one had it, one did not, and I can definitely tell the difference. Some of that might be their personality, I'm not sure. But, my younger one, when he was going through preschool, he was able to express what he was feeling, and he was able to talk about the different things. So for me, I can see how it works. I just would love to know more about it.
Thank you. I believe that this program is essential to helping kids navigate through some of the challenges that they go through on a day-to-day basis in school. As far as what I would do in addition, I think that the program is really good right now as it is, and I would be open to hearing from teachers and staff if they had ideas on the program, but as for now, I really like the program. Thank you.
So at the last board meeting, it was so exciting to hear the PBIS team present how they relaunched the PBIS program. So it's focusing on prevention and helping students understand the expectation throughout their school day. So in the classroom, on the school bus, in the hallway. So I encourage everybody to watch our presentation, which is on the newsletter, a district newsletter. I believe it was last week or maybe this week. So what are examples that I think works? So one of the biggest thing that I think work is the incentives. So it's amazing what an ice cream party can do in the middle school to enforce positive behavior, a popsicle, right? Also the credit points at Hilltop because they want to earn pajama day. At Brighton, they are getting bison tickets so that they can win a chance to get a book from the vending machine. So I think there are lots of examples from the PBIS program that is successful.
The enthusiasm in the room at our board meeting earlier this month around PBIS was incredible. There were representatives from each of the schools. Each building has a committee that has been working very diligently, even through the summer, on creating the PBIS program. And the acronym that we're using is HEARD, or Be Heard. So we want to hear, right? We want to, so that's part of it, but it's also heard as in bison. So very clever, whoever came up with that one. But so the H is for honorable, the E is for encouraging, the A is for accountable, the R is for respectful, and D committees were determined. Each of the buildings, had their own autonomy to decide what would work for them, and so their committees came up with those things. The examples Josephine shared, Bryden really loves their song. They have, a special song that is quite effective. They also do monthly lessons on the different characteristics. What I love most about Be Heard is that it's, again, this actualized, this is what you do, right? There's signs everywhere. This is how you be heard on the bus. This is how you be heard in the classroom, in the hallway, in the cafeteria. So the kids know what that looks like, right? It's one thing to say, be accountable. What does that mean in the classroom or in those different environments?
Thank you. And all of these following questions will be questions asked directly from our community members today. So starting off with Ms. Burns, what do you suppose is the reason why the school's ratings have gone down recently? Thank you.
Thank you. So there happen to be a lot of different publications put out about ratings. It seems like we have trended down from our prior rankings, and we all know that that's not great. I think Beachwood schools are so amazing, but I think that we could do better. I think one of the things holding us back is that anyone that dares to criticize is not welcome and is ignored. I know that our schools are successful because of our teachers. We are losing teachers even though our compensation is competitive as any district. We need to examine why this is happening and fix the problem.
So I want to first address that we are not necessarily losing our teachers at a fast pace. I don't want to cause any panic here. So over the last 5 years, about 30 teachers did leave the district, and about I believe 9 of them left for a different district. So first, I just want to address that. But again, I agree. We do value teachers' staff satisfaction, and we definitely want to retain our staff because they do an amazing job with our students. Now, in terms of ranking, let's talk about U.S. News and World Report. We were ranked 55 for our Beachwood High School in Ohio. But I want to point out the calculation for that ranking is a little bit flawed. The reason is there are about 100 students that is enrolled in the Excel Tech program in the high school, and they're counted in the denominator, whereas their test scores are not counted in the numerator. So you can see how the scores ranking is flawed. But let's talk about the Ohio report card, school report card. We're ranked number 6, and we are 5-star rating across the board for all categories. I see the sign.
Yeah, I'll just build on that. So I think that there are so many different rankings. The methodology they use is always very interesting, whether it's good or bad or otherwise. I think what's important to pay attention to is a lot of times things that we can't measure, right? I measure, how well are our students, what are they feeling when they're in our schools? What is that relationship? Because again, when they feel like they belong here, when they feel seen and heard and respected, that's when they can learn. And so that's, it's hard to measure that. It's hard to measure how well, you're connected with your teacher or your guidance counselor and those kinds of things. But I do want to point out, as Josephine did about the state report card, I don't see any slipping there. We've improved. We had straight A's on our state report card. Our numeric score put us in 6th, tied for 6th in the state of Ohio. That's the entire district, not just Beachwood High School, which is in the U.S. News and World Report rankings, but of all districts in the state of Ohio, we're tied for 6th, and I think that's pretty darn good.
when it comes to the state rankings and the rankings that we get at Beachwood, you know, we have to take it a little bit with the grain of salt that it's given, right? So they're all used, there's different metrics that are used, and I want to be careful and, you know, not look down on our educators when we get these rankings, right? Like it's a balance. So what do these rankings mean? For me, it's about education. I was never somebody that tested well, right? Like I didn't take standardized tests well. I think that our teachers are placed with a curriculum given by the state that has them teaching to a test to a certain point. Also within our district, we have a lot of things going on, right? We have diversity, we have the affinity groups, we have all these things where we're trying to make sure that everybody feels included, everybody feels safe, and that everybody is getting the education that they need. So if we don't focus quite on education and we spread ourselves too thin, then I think sometimes those rankings can go down. But honestly, I don't pay much attention to that. I know that Beachwood community thinks that the rankings are very important. I know that it's very important to our schools. And I think that as we support our teachers and our staffs, that we can increase those rankings.
So let's move on to our next question. What are your specific ideas and plans to increase inclusivity related to all of our students' identities, ethnicities, genders, and neurodiversity? Dr. Chen, we'll start with you.
Can you repeat? I got a little distracted. I apologize.
Yes, no problem. What are your specific ideas and plans to increase inclusivity related to all of our students' identities, ethnicities, genders, and neurodiversity?
Sure. That's a great question because that's what our school is about, right? Inclusivity. So some of the things we've done, in addition to affinity groups and a lot of things that we talked about, is a curriculum review. Our teachers have reviewed the curriculum to make sure that the literature that our students are reading resembles them. Because if a student is reading a book about them, they connect. I know I do when I read a book and it's, you know, about an Asian woman being successful. I'm more engaged, I like the book a little bit more. So that is one thing that I'm very proud that our school district has done, and they're periodically doing that continuously to ensure that you know, we're being inclusive.
I support all the things that we have been doing. I think one idea that has come up, and I'm not sure that it's been acted on yet, but hopefully soon, is like a matching program. So like when we have families that move to the district, let's say from out of the country, to match them up with another family that has the same country of origin, just to help them get acclimated. You know, where do they like to do their grocery shopping? Where's their place of worship? You know, those kinds of things, just to get the lay of the land here. And I think that could be very helpful for a lot of families as they are navigating a new place. But I think, you know, as has come up many times already this evening, this inclusivity, this idea of inclusivity is so important, right? We want all of our families to feel that they belong here, not just our kids, but that parents feel like they belong. We're really working hard on making our website more accessible to various languages and having that easily translatable so that it's an interface that folks feel comfortable using and reading. So again, we're always open to ideas and trying to meet the needs of all of our families.
Yeah, so one thing that I touched on when I did my introduction is that, you know, Beachwood is already sort of on that diversity path, right? Like I noticed that when I was working here, I saw it within the school district, I saw it in, you know, athletics, and as somebody who has children who are biracial, you know, it's something that I really took to heart when we were looking at what district we wanted to move our kids to and really spend our education. I think that, you know, when we're looking at diversity, when we're looking at the different groups, that it's not only important to recognize, support, and promote each group, but it's also very important to have those conversations and blend the groups together. I think that, you know, if we only have the groups and it's only a separation, then it creates more of a divide. I think more conversation within groups is very needed. I saw a divide within the student body several years ago, and it really made me sad. You know, I saw it at athletic events, and I don't want to see that, and I think that we need to do a better job about bringing those kids together. I think we're doing an awesome job of making sure that everybody feels seen and heard, and now I want to just make sure that all the kids are seeing and hearing all the different groups.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have to agree with everybody and what they have all said. I do think that Beachwood is on the right path. I do see all of this love and support that we have to give to everybody. You know, a big thing that people are talking about now is book bans. And to me, I don't think we should be banning books. I think we should have books, you know, available to everybody that, you know, are going to help the children help identify, like you said, an aging woman on the cover. I mean, that's amazing. Written by, you know, African Americans, written by Indians, written by anybody with different, you know, pictures in the books. This is what the kids need. I think that we can definitely be a little bit more transparent with things that we are doing, open and honest with all families, and obviously we want all of our families to feel like they belong here. Thank you.
So we have 2 more questions before we close, but before I'd like to answer one of these questions from the 6 of us. The candidates did not have access to these questions prior to this event, and these questions were chosen by a Google form that was sent in the Beachwood newsletter, and so Beachwood families could give their input on what questions they would like to be asked tonight. And for our actual question, how do you propose we support our children in this time of school shootings and lack of gun restrictions in the state of Ohio? We'll be starting with Ms. Walsh.
Thank you. Such an important question. I feel like, you know, every parent that sends their child out the door in the morning, that's the worst thing that you could hear or expect or, you know, to have happen. And so we work very hard to make sure that all of our students are safe at all times. I think that our model of having a police officer in every one of our buildings, not only for our safety from school shootings, but also just to build that relationship and help them to feel safe inside our buildings is really important. And I think it's a big deterrent. I think that sometimes Beachwood can be a target, or could be a target, and I think that having police presence it keeps us very safe. I would also speak to, you know, in terms of what a school board can do. You know, recently, last year, the state decided to let school boards decide if they wanted to arm their teachers. We responded very quickly and adamantly saying no, we did not want to arm our teachers. We don't feel that that makes our buildings safer. In fact, I think it makes them more dangerous. So that's something that school boards can do to make sure that we're safe. But again, it's more of that advocacy and that statewide connection, paying attention to what's going on at the state level to make sure that our kids are well protected.
Yeah, so school safety has been really important. You know, I was at Laramie, Wyoming when Columbine happened. My brother lived a block away from Columbine. It has been in the forefront of my mind since then. Safety in the schools, you know, it's our kids, right? And I was fortunate enough, like I mentioned, that I've worked in Beachwood schools. We had an amazing security resource officer here that really protected our kids, and I remember calling him every single time there was a shooting or something in a school district that I thanked him for making sure that our kids were safe. I don't think it just pertains to guns, it pertains to all weapons, and I think that safety in our schools is important for everybody. I think that it needs to be transparent. I think we need to talk about it. We are not in a bubble here. We are not gonna not feel this. We are seeing it in all the districts around us, and I think it's the responsibility of every administrator and every board member to make sure that our kids are safe every single day.
Thank you. Yeah, so this might be an uncomfortable topic to talk about, but our security starts with our school resource officer. I know many of us are not happy that the officer we had for 12 years is no longer employed with us. I'm concerned with how that decision was made. It didn't make it any easier to understand why a change was being made as a parent. Our new hire for the resource officer has been very accommodating, and every interaction with him has been positive so far. But I don't think that the change actually helped us improve our safety in the schools. As the decision that the board made not to arm the teachers, I wholeheartedly agree with. I would believe that that would actually make it more dangerous. But there are still some things that I see that we can work on, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
So safety is definitely a high priority for us within the district. So we work with the Department of Homeland Security in regards to our security plan, and it's reviewed annually. We do safety drills, and so there are lots of things in place. But I agree, there's always more to be done, right? And I think what we should work on is mental health and communication with our students. Our students have so many stressors now: social, family, academic. And so we need to be able to identify, see that they're under distress and try to intervene before it escalates into a crisis. We need to improve our communication with our students so that we build the trust, so that they know they can come to us and ask for help. Again, so that we're not escalating to a crisis. Because let's talk about fighting. Fighting is a form of communication. They don't know how to manage a problem. So again, if we identify that they're under stress, if we build that trust and we collaborate with them to solve their problem, then we can try to have a safer environment within the school.
Thank you. And for our concluding question, should Beachwood High School hire more professionals for training students in Science Olympiad, Model UN, Speech and Debate, and other such academic extracurriculars? We'll start with Ms. Brown.
Thank you for that last question. Sorry we got this off track there. So I think that all these extra curriculars when it comes to education and passions that people have, absolutely we should support that. I know that the kids thrive on that, the students thrive on it, the programs thrive, and I don't know why we wouldn't support that.
Thank you. I absolutely agree. If the need for more people to help support the students is needed, I think that we should do that. Thank you.
So I'm going to admit that I'm a little confused about hiring professional. I'm not really sure what that means, but right now we do support all the different extracurricular activities that our students want to partake in. And so for example, the Science Olympiad, last year we held our first competition here at Beachwood. So we're always trying to do more. I can speak to Destination Imagination because I've been doing it forever. It's crazy. Again, we hosted here. Last year we had to go to another school. I of course think that we did a better job, but that's okay. I might be biased. So if the question is, would we invest in these extracurricular activity? Absolutely. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks.
I mean, the biggest consideration, right, is to go through that budget process. So, the need arises, and then we evaluate, does that fit into a budget? Does that make sense? Is that meeting a need, is, doing all that analysis. In Beachwood, we are very fortunate to say, we want this, okay, we're gonna make it work, and, we have the money to do that. But again, we have to be good fiscal stewards, and so we have to look at it from all angles and try to meet the needs as best we can.
Hi again. Good evening, everyone. As we come to the end of this enlightening evening, we'd like to really express our sincere gratitude to all of you for joining us in Meet the Candidates Night with those running for the Beachwood City School Board of Education. Your presence and participation here tonight demonstrates your commitment and dedication to our shared goal of improving the quality of education in our school district. We also want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the candidates who have dedicated their time and energy to participate in this important dialogue. This event has been an incredible experience and opportunity for us as students to voice our concerns, ask questions, and gain a deeper understanding of your visions for Beachwood. We appreciate your openness and willingness to engage with us directly. It is candidates like you who inspire us to take an active interest in the future of our schools.
As student facilitators, we believe that tonight's event is a testament to our community and particularly our youth's commitment to their civic responsibilities. An engaged and diverse community is necessary for growth and prosperity. This event reminds us that we are a part of that type of community. Our education matters, and through the Beachwood community, alongside the school board, we can strive together towards creating an even better future for our schools. In closing, we would like to reiterate our appreciation for all of you who attended today's event to share your valuable insights and visions. Your participation has been crucial to making this event an success. An exemplary school district is a shared responsibility, and together we can make a difference. Thank you and have a good night.
I just want to say one quick thing. Well, thank you all so much. I know this was kind of last minute and we really appreciate you all coming, but I literally did nothing for this. This was all these kids. I just said, hey, anybody interested? And they were like, got it, on it. So maybe you all will be sitting up here one day. Like, that's the hope, right? So thank you guys. You're awesome.
Hi, my name is Vita Saldunas. I was in charge of the sound system for today. Unfortunately, it went down, and I would like to apologize to everybody here, especially our candidates. We had a new system ordered, but the lead time is extremely long, and this was brought in by the company that we have new system ordered from temporarily, and it did not quite work. So I really apologize for that. These microphones too are our system, and they've been working great so far. Thank you.